to hear some exciting news? Your brain can heal at any stage of life. Once upon a time, just neuroscience nerd alert here, full disclosure. Once upon a time, when I started my career in neuroscience, we thought that the brain was largely fixed and its capacity to learn new things, to heal, to regenerate itself was absolutely fixed. There was no changing that whatsoever. And then, thanks to improvements in imaging over, I'd say for sure, the last 10 years, probably last 15 years, and the work of people like Dr. Daniel Amen, Dr. Carolyn Leaf, Dr. Andrew Newberg, the brain scan imaging data is showing us that your brain, number one, can heal at any time. Number two, it can lay down new neural pathways at any time, well into your 80s, 90s. In fact, I'll give you a personal story about how powerful your brain is thanks to the ability of neuroplasticity. So for those of you who might not know what neuroplasticity is, that's your ability to lay down new neural pathways in your brain. Let's say you lose a connection of some sort in the brain. With training, with repetition, with intentional effort, you can create new tracks in the brain for messages and information to develop. So let me get back to that personal story. For 11 years, my stepfather was dealing with Lewy body dementia. And over the course of that dementia, he had the privilege of living very close to Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. And we had the privilege of having Dr. Brad Bouvet as the neurologist who was treating him. Dr. Bouvet is one of the eminent researchers in this field, and his story is amazing. His own mother dealt with Lewy body dementia, and as a young man, he made the decision to go into medicine and understand and try to find a cure for this disease. And now he's working at Mayo Clinic, leading the world in the research. I digress. As my stepfather was being cared for by Dr. Bouvet, and we had regular visits with him, part of that because my stepfather was also enrolled in some studies with some experimental medications, Dr. Bouvet understood that I had a career in neuroscience and I was used to looking at brain scan images all day long. So he invited me to take a look at my stepfather's scans. They were called PET scans, PET, and they showed the activity going on in the brain and what the structures look like. And we had some baseline images to compare every time my stepfather went in. We would pull up the baseline images, we would look at the new images and see what was going on with the progression of the disease. And Dr. Bouvet, in one visit, I will never forget this, I'm getting chills. Thinking about it, he said, "Kathryn, I have something exciting to show you today. Let's sit down." My stepfather and my mother were behind me, and I sat next to Dr. Bouvet, and he pulled my stepfather's scans up, and he said, "See this area here?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Here's where the disease has degraded the neural pathways, but I want to show you this because this is so exciting." He's like, "This is where my research is taking me." He said, "Do you see this area?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "Let me pull up the old scan." And I'm getting chills thinking about it. As we looked at the old scan and the new scan, there was brand new neural pathways that, even though this very sick brain was in the process of dying, because unfortunately that's what dementia does to the brain, it still had the ability to create new pathways in order to continue functioning, in order to continue serving you. So what I wanted to share with you today is that any point in your life, your brain can heal, it can grow, and it can continue learning. I want anyone who feels like, you know what, it's too late for me, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. The neuroscience data, the brain scan imaging data completely contradicts that old wives' tale. So if any of you are struggling with thought patterns, with behaviors, maybe you're in a big transition in your life and you need some guidance on that, feel free to reach out to me in the link that's provided, and let's schedule a clarity call. Let's figure out what you need help with in this life, how neuroscience, mindset, and a faith practice can move you forward and get you unstuck from where you are. And let's talk a little bit about how I do that with my Revive system. And if I'm not able to help you, then I'm going to do my very best to find you the help that you do need. The good news is I have a terrific, amazing network of people who specialize in different areas. And then lastly, if you want to comment in this video, I'd love to hear from you. Maybe some of you have your own story stories about the power of the brain and how it regenerates itself and in the most elderly of patients. I'd love to hear those comments. So please feel free to leave those for me as well. But the last thing I want to leave you with is with the right information, the right understanding, and the right approach, you can heal your brain, you can retrain your brain, and you can turn yourself into someone you've always dreamed of being. And most importantly, you can step into the fullness of who God created you to be. Thanks so much, everybody. The last thing I want to leave you with is I believe in you.